everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Marya Shakil. On January 27, 2020, a 20-year-old female was admitted at the emergency department in General Hospital, Thrissur, Kerala, with a one-day history of dry cough and sore throat. She disclosed that she had returned to Kerala from Wuhan in China due to COVID-19 outbreak situation there. Authorities soon swung into action. Today, exactly 355 days after the first case was reported, India has kicked off a mass inoculation drive, the biggest in the world, with 2 vaccines and both of them being indigenous. Prime Minister Narendra Modi kicked off the vaccination drive, hailing the role of scientists and doctors, and also got emotional during his speech as he remembered those who died saving lives of others in this battle against coronavirus. The first ones to receive jabs were sanitation workers, doctors and healthcare workers who have been at the forefront and been instrumental in this fight against COVID. However, even on this historic day, politics continued unabashedly, with opposition parties questioning Prime Minister on not taking the jab himself and the efficacy of the vaccine. So here's what happened today.
आज के दिन का पूरे देश को बेसब्री से इंतजार रहा है। अब से कुछ ही मिनट बाद भारत में दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा टीकाकरण अभियान शुरू होने जा रहा है।
And so it began. With the Health Minister of India, Dr. Harshvardhan, watching on, Manish Kumar, a Safai Karamchari at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi, became the first Indian to be inoculated against the coronavirus.
सबसे पहला बात, आपको अभी कैसा लग रहा है वैक्सीन लेने के बाद?
अभी आपके सामने ही हूँ, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है।
There were others too. Nurse B.G. Tony and Dr. Puneet Jetli in Delhi, sanitation worker Pushpa Kumari in Vijayawada, Dr.
2 किस्म के वैक्सीन का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है। एक कोविशील्ड है जो सीरम इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंडिया लिमिटेड का है। इस वैक्सीन को हमने सभी राज्यों को दिया है। इसी प्रकार दूसरा वैक्सीन जो है वो कोवैक्सीन है जो भारत बायोटेक द्वारा बनाया गया है। प्रारंभिक रूप से हमने इसे 12 राज्य को दिया है। अब चूंकि आज ये वैक्सीनेशन सेशन शुरू हुए हैं सारे देश में, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि द टोटल सेशंस ऑफ बोथ टाइप्स ऑफ वैक्सीन, कोवैक्सीन एंड कोविशील्ड थ्रू आउट द कंट्री हेल्ड वर 3,351। सारे देश में 3,351 सेशन साइट्स पे दोनों किस्म के वैक्सीन को लगाया गया। यहाँ पर मैं आपको पहले उन 11 राज्यों के नाम बता रहा हूँ जहाँ पे दोनों किस्म के वैक्सीन लगाए गए और कितने सत्र वहाँ पे आयोजित किए गए। असम में 65, बिहार 301, दिल्ली 81, हरियाणा 77, कर्नाटका 242, महाराष्ट्र 285, ओडिशा 161, राजस्थान 167, तमिलनाडु 160, तेलंगाना 140 and Uttar Pradesh 317. Now the other states and UTs where the vaccination sessions were held with only one type of vaccine, that is Covishield. I want to name them: Andaman and Nicobar 2 session sites, Andhra 332, Arunachal 9, Chandigarh 4, Chhattisgarh 97, Dadra and Nagar Haveli 1, Daman and Diu 1, Goa 7, Gujarat 161, Himachal Pradesh 28, Jammu and Kashmir 41, Jharkhand 48, Kerala 133, Ladakh 2, Lakshadweep 1, मध्य प्रदेश 150, मणिपुर 10, मेघालय 10, मिजोरम 5, नागालैंड 9, पुडुचेरी 8, पंजाब 59, सिक्किम 2, त्रिपुरा 18, Uttarakhand 34, and West Bengal 183. Now, I would like to tell you that the total vaccination personnel involved across the country, पूरे देश में जिन लोगों ने टीकाकरण का कार्यक्रम चलाया वो संख्या है 16,755 और जो हमारे पास प्रोविजनल डेटा है उसके अनुसार ये शाम के 5:30 बजे तक का डेटा है। उस समय तक इन सभी सेशन साइट्स में 1,65,714 बेनिफिशियरीज़ को टीका लगाया जा चुका था। और आपकी जानकारी के लिए राज्यवार संख्या मैं पढ़ना चाहता हूँ। अंडमान 78, आंध्र प्रदेश 16,963, अरुणाचल 743, असम 2721, बिहार 16,401, चंडीगढ़ 195, छत्तीसगढ़ 4,985, दादरा नगर हवेली 64, दमन एंड दीव 43, दिल्ली 3,403, गोवा 373, गुजरात 8,557। इसी प्रकार हरियाणा 4,656, हिमाचल 1,408, जम्मू कश्मीर 1,954, झारखंड 2,897, कर्नाटका 12,637, केरला 7,206, लद्दाख 76, लक्षद्वीप 21, मध्य प्रदेश 6,739, महाराष्ट्र 15,727, मणिपुर 510, मेघालय 509, मिजोरम 314, नागालैंड 499, ओडिशा 8,675, पुडुचेरी 206, पंजाब 1,200, राजस्थान 9,279, सिक्किम 120, तमिलनाडु 2,728, तेलंगाना 3,600, त्रिपुरा 266, उत्तर प्रदेश 15,975, उत्तराखंड 2,226 एंड वेस्ट बंगाल 9,582। मैं आपको ये भी बताना चाहता हूँ कि डिफेंस पर्सनल का डेटा हमने अलग से इसमें सम्मिलित किया है। जो प्रोविजनल डेटा है वो 2,182 है। अब मैं आपको ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि चूँकि ये हमारा कार्यक्रम का आज पहला दिन था और कोविन जो हमारा डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म है उस पे हमने पहली बार ये अभ्यास किया था, ट्राई रन हमने किया था। उसके बाद वास्तविक रूप से ये पहला प्रयास था तो कुछ छोटे मुद्दे यहाँ पे उठे थे। द इश्यूज विच were highlighted during the campaign was first, there was a delay in uploading of the beneficiaries list at some session sites. कुछ सेशन साइट्स पे डेटा को अपलोड करने में थोड़ा विलंब हुआ था, जिसको हमने ठीक किया। सिस्टम परफॉर्मेंस and speed was improved and is being further optimized. Then there was a small issue, कुछ हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स जिनको वैक्सीनेशन हो गया था उनका शेड्यूल नहीं था, लेकिन उसके लिए भी हमने प्रोसेस इवॉल्व किया एंड स्टेट्स वर एडवाइज्ड टू अपलोड डिटेल्स ऑफ सच हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स in CoWIN database. So, to summarize, I want to say that COVID-19 vaccination drive was successful during day one, which was today. A total of 3,351 sessions were held across the country, wherein 1,65,714 beneficiaries were vaccinated as per the provisional reports. ये प्रोविजनल रिपोर्ट्स ही हैं। A total of 60,755 personals were involved in organizing the immunization session sites, and I want to stress here that there was no case of post-vaccination hospitalization reported so far. And Honorable HFM has reviewed the progress with the Honorable Health Ministers of all the states and UTs at 6 p.m. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Thank you very much, sir.
So the day one of vaccination has come to an end and no report of post-vaccination reaction has come in, is what the Health Ministry officials said. Earlier today, I spoke to Member Health of NITI Aayog, Dr. V.K. Paul. He was also one of those who actually got the first jab today. Listen in to what he told me. Dr. Paul, I appreciate your time. You were one of the first people to get the vaccine. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling very proud as an Indian, and I'm feeling very healthy at this moment. I received the vaccine at the institute. The entire AIMS family has led by example, and we all received Covaxin. It shows that the scientific community and our industry has done a great contribution, great humane service. To have 2 vaccines getting rolled out as a part of the largest vaccination program ever on this planet is a very, very proud feeling.
And what sort of potential side effects should the recipients be watching out for, sir?
Well, the potential side effects can be a little irritation at the local site, the injection site, maybe a little redness, along the site and maybe a little beyond that, or maybe minimal fever or some little feeling of lethargy, if at all, by the way. These are negligible side effects. It's an inactivated virus, very safe vaccine. In thousands of individuals, the safety is well known. So practically nothing of significance will be experienced by the recipients.
You know, the fact that you said that you got the Covaxin, are you telling those who were raising questions about the efficacy of Covaxin that the skeptics should finally be silent from today onwards?
Well, I'm requesting everyone that when a licensure has been given by our scientists, our experts, our regulator, our agencies, and the government, let's have faith in that decision. Let's have faith that the criteria, the required criteria, regulatory and scientific, has been met, and the decision signifies the fact that there are huge, overwhelming benefits to take it forward. There is safety, there is huge immunogenicity, antibodies as well as T-cell immunity, and this will be the vaccine. In addition to the other great vaccine, Covishield, these will be the vaccines which will turn the tide against the pandemic.
Dr. Paul, the vaccine rollout comes almost a year after the first case was reported in India. How much of the turning point do you see this for us?
Very important point indeed, Marya. So far, we were fighting this battle with 4 tools. One is to protect ourselves with bare hands, wearing a mask, maintaining physical distance, and hand hygiene, and so on. That was our first tool. Our second tool was testing, so that we know if we have the disease or we don't have the disease. And if we have the disease, then we have the third tool of, if you're positive, then we have the third tool of looking after the positive cases. But at the same time, the fourth tool of surveillance, containment, contact tracing, having containment zones, isolating people, these were the 4 tools that we had till date, and they stood the test of time. They served us hugely and served the world hugely. But today, it is a celebration because now we have a 5th tool, which is preventive, which is like a full shield for the person and the community who would receive the vaccine. The virus cannot infect you.
Dr. Paul, how soon are you expecting that the other 4 vaccines which are ready for rollout by July end, and are you looking at some kind of timeline there, and which is of those which will be ready first?
Well, the timelines are determined by the stage of the pipeline where the individual vaccines are. So we have two vaccines in phase 3 doing well. Candida phase 3 started any of these days. Sputnik vaccine made in Russia, but being taken into stage 2, going to 3. At this very time, these two vaccines could have potential availability in 3 to 4 months, if not earlier. Then we have phase 1, phase 2 trials being conducted for an RNA vaccine by Genova, which is stable at 2 to 8 degrees and a great vaccine. And we have an RBD protein vaccine with biologically who have a huge capacity for vaccine manufacturing. So these four vaccines are in the early pipeline that are available. Hopefully in the next 4 to 6 to 8 months, these vaccines would be available. They will add to the rising stockpile of the existing two vaccines, the Bharat and the Serum. And therefore, we are moving toward an increasingly optimistic scenario with regard to vaccine number and vaccine um, types
Okay.
moving forward.
Dr. Paul, how soon can we expect 50 plus people to be vaccinated? Are you looking at some kind of timeline there? And will Election Commission database be used to identify the beneficiaries? And has that task already started?
Well, India has taken a very practical and epidemiology-driven, pragmatic approach. Today, we have started with the healthcare workers, 1 crore. Let this process stabilize. The next wave will start. That will cover the frontline workers. But we are not saying first you finish all the vaccination for everybody of the frontline workers or healthcare workers. No, the first wave has been started. The second wave will come in a few days. And then the third wave, which is the real focus is to cover 26 crore people who are above the age of 50 years, who account for, that age group accounts for 80% of COVID-19 mortality. And this large group is the real epidemiological focus of our 300 crore, 300 million individual program that we have set out to accomplish in about 7 to 8 months. It's a matter of I would say a few weeks that we will have that particular wave getting rolled out. We would like to stabilize our systems very quickly. We have started with 3,000 sites. In a matter of 2 weeks, it will be ramped up to 5,000 plus. It will be ramped up to multiple of the 5,000 in times to come. It's only a matter of a few weeks now. But we must remember that the beginning has been made, and therefore that journey is now out there. We have a lot of light at the end of the tunnel.
Last question to you, sir. Vaccine hesitancy is a big concern world over and here in India too. How are we dealing with it?
Well, vaccine hesitancy, there is an innate vaccine hesitancy. There are some groups who just don't believe in it. It's very difficult to change their mindset. But I think part of it, and the disturbing part of it, is related to misconceptions and poor ability to assimilate the correct forms of information, rumor mongering, and so on and so forth. So I plead that you should consider to receive the vaccine on two counts. First, for yourself, because when you get the vaccine, now you are protected. But then there is also another responsibility. When you are protected, you are also helping the larger national and the societal cause, because now the virus stops with you. It cannot engulf you. You cannot be part of the transmission chain. And that is a service that you render for the society, for your family, community, and society. And therefore, to my mind, those who have been identified to receive vaccine, if they do not take vaccine, they are not only harming themselves potentially, but also are doing damage to a societal cause. It is our duty to be part of this movement. If we are being identified on pragmatic and scientific basis to be receiving the vaccine, we should join wholeheartedly, and we should not damage this cause. The two great vaccines India is so proud to have today, made in India, these are the vaccines which will save lives as we roll out. They will save our economy. Schools have to be open, colleges have to be open.
Yes.
We want efficient health services to be opened up for COVID, non-COVID purposes. The surgeries are not being done. We want to go back to normal times at the earliest. And look at the irony. We are fortunate that we have the vaccine of our own. We are fortunate that we have more than one vaccine available. Where is the place for hesitancy? It should
Absolutely.
not be there. I urge that please embrace the vaccine with pride, with happiness, and follow the advice that the Honorable Prime Minister has given so eloquently this morning.
All right, Dr. V.K. Paul, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks for sending that message to the people of India that they should embrace this vaccine without any doubt or misconception. And it's beginning of going back to normalcy. 2 indigenous vaccines rolled out and 4 are in pipeline. When will the vaccines be available in the market for those who are not there in the priority list? Here's Government of India's Principal Scientific Advisor telling us all that you need to know. I'm leaving you with this. Thanks so much for watching. Professor Vijayraghvan is joining us live. He is the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Professor Raghavan, I appreciate your time. You have been involved at all stages of corona management, from the virus to the vaccine development. How do you see India's journey on this historic day, sir?
Given our enormous diversity, population, combined with our scientific capability and our industry, I mean, this is a very unusual combination. India has been a vaccine supplier to the world for a long time, but over the past year, Indian vaccine industry and our researchers, our scientists came together to also develop vaccine. And it's remarkable that in this short period, we have a vaccination program rolled out over here. And it's also very impressive that we're rolling it out first for our healthcare workers and our frontline workers. These are people who have really put out everything over the last year. They have been the hardest hit in many ways, but they've also been protecting everyone else. So it is both an appreciation of their efforts and of the value they bring on the front line that they should start. Their being safe is the first step in everyone being safe.
You know, there is not much of a global model to emulate either, you know, because countries where vaccination has begun are already running behind schedule. Delivering 2 doses each to 30 crore people, maybe it'll go through till September. What about those who aren't in the priority list today?
No, let's take this step by step and remember here too, just like with the pandemic, the power of the exponential. The number of sites we have will scale up rapidly. The manufacturing capacity is already scaling up. The distribution capacity will scaling up. So these are extraordinary challenges if you chart it out on a sheet of paper and see what needs to be done in a particular time. But if you break it up into components and see how those components can be executed, these are tractable things. You're right, there's not much to learn from other countries here. Other countries need to learn about how one can manage this distribution and engagement and delivery because of our size. And you know, we have done this in many other big projects, and I think we will do this. It looks daunting now, the scale at the early stages. You're going to see a massive scale up of all three, the manufacturing, the distribution, and the delivery. And I don't think we will be, you know, behind time in any significant manner.
Professor Vijayraghvan, what is one thought that stayed with you, which the Prime Minister had said through this entire mammoth exercise, first of mitigation and then the vaccine development?
You know, what is very striking is our ability as a country to not shirk our internal responsibilities, take them upon in a partnership between people, industry, and academia. That's one side. And on the other side, not shirk our international obligations. We've done both. We've taken on a very difficult period at the start when our testing and tracking, our ventilators, everything was important. And this looked like, you know, an impossible challenge to overcome. And we've done that. And I think right now our challenge is going forward, How do we take that spirit into multiple components, have both lives and livelihood intact going forward? And the vaccine is one component. The other is our behavior, and the third is our scientific understanding of potential dangers in the way the disease is still evolving.
Several states are demanding free vaccines for lower income groups. Is that something that the Government of India can consider?
The range of people who will need to be vaccinated cover those who just cannot afford vaccines, right up to those who can afford vaccines at very reasonable prices. There are multiple mechanisms to deal with that at the state level, at our medical health insurance levels, in terms of partnerships with philanthropy, with people who are well-to-do and so on. So I don't think this will be an issue. Equity and access will be ensured. All those who need vaccines will get them.
Last question to you, Professor. There are two vaccines which are being rolled out today, which are being given today, Covaxin and Covishield. What about the others?
What we're going to see over the first quarter of this year is these vaccines are expected to go into full licensure, and others will come in. There are many, many vaccines which are being developed in India or co-developed in India. So you're going to see an enormous increase in the second quarter and the third quarter of availability of different kinds of vaccines which are in the approval or approved phase. So the supply is going to, canvas is going to change a lot as our delivery system and our distribution system also enhances to include multiple kinds of players. So the size of what we need to do will be tractable because of all these changes.
All right, Professor Vijayraghvan, always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time here on CNN News 18.